Finally, with my walkthroughs to these new Weirwood Systems Night King boss stages, it is stage 261. This is also the exact same fight, just with a little bit lower stats as stage 306, which is the very final stage in the new Weirwood Tree. This is also the same fight as the previous Weirwood Tree, stage 963. So I did make a video of that at the time. But of course, players searching for Weirwood guides now no longer know that those mechanics are the same, so here we are. Again, I'm using a full free-to-play composition. You will need Enzo from Chronicler for this specific formation, but you can make formational adjustments and still make this work with a different formation too. I believe in my 963 video I used O'Bane in this spot instead, for example. So in the stage, there are 4 boss units. There's a Wight infantry, cavalry, and spearman, and then the Night King. The Night King's abilities look very intimidating, with 5 special abilities there, but in fact, this Night King is going to be your greatest ally in this fight. So, as far as the Wights go, the Wight cavalry just heals himself, doesn't do anything particularly interesting at all. But then the other 2 Wights have things that we're going to need to counter somewhat. So the Wight infantry, every 10 seconds, applies a buff to all allied units, reduces normal attack damage taken by 80% for 10 seconds. So he has a normal attack damage reduction buff that he's going to apply on everyone. We can use Winton here to remove that buff. As soon as it gets cast, it will show up as, I believe, like normal attack reduction with a green arrow on the opposing side. As soon as that goes off, make sure to have Winton active ready at full rage and hit into whatever target you're focusing on at that given time so you can maximize your damage into them. The time limit here will be of utmost importance. Every second counts if you're using a setup like this at least. So you will have to squeeze out every little inch of damage that you can get out of your composition. The other thing we're going to have to counter is this Wight Spearman. Applies a debuff to all enemies at the start of the battle, reducing rage recovery by 60% and attack by 60%. So that's going to apply on all 6 of your commanders immediately. We're going to want to get rid of that as soon as we can via Gene's active. You might not be able to hit all 6 of your commanders with the first Gene active. If that's the case, it's okay. Just hit 5 ideally, and then make sure to hit the remaining commander with the following Gene active. But remember that going in, Winton active counters Wight infantry, Gene active counters Wight spearman. But the real key to this fight is going to be the Night King. Unyielding his first ability is just damage and also stack his own defense with that. Again, we can use Winton to counter that defense buffer. He has a low amount of AoE damage there. On his second ability, we have Sansa and Gene that can heal that up easily. But the key part of this fight in general is going to be these Sacrifice of Eternal Winter abilities. So at 80 and 70% health, which will be 800k and 700k health on stage 261, he will execute one of his Wights immediately and restore 50k health on this first sacrifice, and then apply a buff on himself that reduces skill damage on the second execute, and that buff can't be removed. But we can effectively use these execute mechanics to our advantage. If we kill just one of these Wights, he will then kill the remaining 2 for us. And after we kill one Wight, we only need to do damage to the Night King to finally get him down. When I actually go into the fight itself, the time limit will seem very intimidating with the amount of damage that will be remaining to be done. But when he hits 600k health, he will execute. So kill immediately 4 of your commanders, but he will then lose 15% of his max health, so 150k every time you crit him, and that will just happen naturally. So effectively, when you get him below 60% health, or get him to 600k health, you will basically, in practice, instant kill him, and the goal will just be getting to that point with time remaining, and if you can get there, you've passed this stage easily. So when we get into this fight, we're going to want to focus as much damage as we possibly can into just one of these Wights. I'm going to pick the Wight Cavalry here, just because I think it's the most effective. He will execute one of his Wights immediately, and if you can get there, you've passed this stage easily. So when we get into this fight, we're going to want to focus as much damage as we possibly can into just one of these Wights. I'm going to pick the Wight Cavalry here, just because we can split our damage a bit better onto the Night King, which will actually give us a bit of a benefit as we go through this fight. So on our first gene active, remember that we want to cleanse this Wight Spearman debuff that he applies immediately. So we're going to hit as many commanders as we possibly can, and only hit 5, unfortunately. With how this is lined up, we can't quite hit Enzo as well. So we're just going to take the 5 and then hit Enzo with the next active casting. We're going to use all our actives into the Wight Cavalry and try and clip the Night King as well when using them. See there the normal attack reduction with the upwards green arrow? As soon as that goes up, we're going to hit into the Wight Cavalry again. And we're just going to keep repeating this process over and over again until this Wight Cavalry eventually dies. Winton, because he's grey rarity, may get in some sticky positions throughout this fight. Of course, that won't be as much of an issue if he is of a higher rarity. I'm deliberately using a weaker account here just to show that it is, of course, possible just through knowing the fight and knowing how to counter things. You can obviously use much better formations than this if you have more pay-to-win commanders. So you see there, Winton is getting fairly low, but he will survive. There isn't quite enough damage to get him down. I am realizing at this point of the recording that it would have been much more effective putting Enzo in the middle for his normal attack damage, and I messed up there. If you're copying this formation, just put Enzo in the middle. It should work a fair bit better than this has here, so I've sort of messed up my own strategy in killing 2 of the Wights early, but that's fine. As soon as the Night King here hits 800k health, he will immediately kill this remaining Wight Spearman. He will then heal up to 850k health, and at that point, we just need to get him down to 600k, and then we have effectively won the fight by that point if we can get there with everyone alive, which the commanders here are seemingly doing their best to cause not to happen. But in the end, we just about get him to that 600k mark, and you see as soon as you get there, he just instantly dies. He didn't even have the time to execute anything. Those crit mechanics will just take him out immediately. I would re-record this if the Weirwood system was a bit different. I could replay this stage, but due to the nature of it, once you finish the stage, you can no longer go back. So if you're using that formation, put Enzo in the middle, and it probably will work better, because you do want him to execute 2 of the Wights rather than do what I did there. But the concepts remain the same. Focus your damage into one of the Wights, kill that, then kill the Night King, let him kill the remaining Wights, and then you've only got him get him down to 60% health, and he will basically immediately die. And there we go. That is all the Night King boss stages in the new Weirwood system.